and welcome to the 4th annual Handmade Holidays blog hop. This is Sabrina Alery with a video tutorial for Clearsnap, and today's budget-friendly handmade gift idea is a hand-stamped oven mitt. Something that's useful, of course, for everyone on your list. We're going to be stamping with our Colorbox Crafters inks lines. These are great for stamping on fabric. I'm also using the Jumbo Rollograph stamp wheel, our art screen stencils, and we have some stamps from Neat and Tangled. And then we're also going to be using the Fabby Sizzix hexagon die, which is going to take away all the hassle of hand cutting those hexagon patterns. We'll be learning a few tricks along the way for fabric stamping as well. So let's get started.
So to begin with, we're going to use this 2-inch hexagon die from Sizzix to cut out our fabric. It's a self-contained die. You use it with any manual die cutting machine. Just the die itself and the 2 cutting plates. I used a 4 by 4.5 cut of fabric, which I found fit perfectly on the die. You're going to roll it through the machine, the Big Shot or other die cut machine. And you can see it comes off very neat and cleanly. Much faster than measuring and cutting those hexagons by hand. Now I'm going to show you 3 different ways to add a pattern to your fabric. I'm stamping on a molding mat, which is a great surface to make sure you get even stamping. And then I'm using the Jumbo Dots Rollograph. And this just is a very quick and easy way to add a stamped pattern to the fabric. The Crafters ink is great. It's great with fabric. It's permanent and waterproof when heat set. So we use the Wave Blue. Next we're going to be using the Stone shade of gray with the Crooked art screen. The second way to add a pattern, and I'm just applying that ink directly to the fabric through the stencil. You can use a hand tool to apply the ink as well. And thirdly, I'm going to add a hand-stamped pattern with this stamp set from Neat and Tangled. One of the great things about adding your own designs, your own stamped designs to fabric is that you can always make sure that everything is centered and lined up very neatly. You don't have to do any extraneous cutting or waste any of your designer fabric when you add your own designs by hand. I'm using the Night, the black shade of Crafters ink here, and I like stamping on fabric with a clear stamp and an acrylic block. Just makes it much easier to make sure your pattern is nice and lined up. So we cut 12 of these hexagons total to create the pattern on this oven mitt here, stamped them and stitched them together. I just wanted to give you a little quick tutorial about machine piecing the hexagons. This is going to make the process a lot faster. You're going to line up four rows, 4 hexagons in 3 different rows, and you're going to stitch them end to end, as you can see here. To add in your second row, you're going to line up your second row of hexagons with your first row as so. You want to make sure when you peel that forward that it'll fit right in that little nook. And when you stitch, you're going to want to stop about 1/4 inch from the edge of your fabric, and that's going to allow you to fold that over and match it up with the other side. And again, you're going to stitch that closed, leaving 1/4 of an inch from the edge, and that will allow you to continue piecing those rows together. Alright, you can see what it's going to look like when it's finished. It looks a little funny, but when you peel it apart, you're going to have a nice flat row. Now I'm going to place the iron on this, and you want to hold it down for about 30 seconds, not only to flatten out the fabric, but the heat is what helps set the Crafters ink into the fabric. That's what makes it permanent and washable. Alright, when you have your rows of hexagons pieced together, you're going to cut out and stamp the remainder of the fabric, the lining, and then there's 2 layers of batting inside here as well. You can find the pattern, the link to the pattern, on the accompanying blog post for this video tutorial. I'll have that in the comments. I'm going to place those pieces together before stitching up your oven mitt. You'll face it, turn it inside out, and then the final step will just be to add some bias tape around the edge. Make your oven mitt ready to go. I think kitchen-themed gifts are always great for new couples and other young adults who are just entering the real world. So to accompany our oven mitt, we're going to also be altering a small dollar store photo album. This time we're going to be using the Colorbox pigment inks along with our Jumbo Dots rollograph stamp wheel. Stamps from Neat and Tangled. Again, we'll be using the Sizzix hexagon die, and this time we have some great adhesives from Scrapbook Adhesives. So I have my little fabric album here. It has 10 pages, and before we begin filling that, we're just going to add, again, that polka dot pattern with our jumbo stamp wheel. Simple dots is the pattern here. I'm using the Colorbox Crafters ink, again, in Night, to add the stamped image to this fabric album, and then you can heat set that again to make the ink permanent. The rollograph makes it so easy to just add a very quick pattern to any fabric design. So next, we're going to be altering the inside. I just have some 4x6 sheets of cardstock cut, and I created 5 different patterns using the Neat and Tangled stamp set. And we're just going to place those inside as a little some decorative paper. The Neat and Tangled stamp set is a holiday stamp set, but I was able to create several different designs which don't really feel holiday. I really like the stamp set for that reason. It has all those little pieces that have a lot of potential. And I'm using the Colorbox pigment ink here. Any type of ink, dye, chalk, pigment ink will work great. The pigment ink just most closely matches the colors in our oven mitt. So we have the chambray, the berry, the turtle, and also just the black colors that we're using to create these different patterns. And when you're finished, you can just insert a simple recipe card, an index card. I'm using the Scrapbook Adhesives tape dispenser, and I put 3 rows of that tape on there before adhering it to my background page. I'm going to slip that inside the page protector. Your gift recipient can add in their own recipe, or you can fill out recipes for them. Again, we have our 2-inch hexagon Sizzix die, and this time we are adhering with the Scrapbook Adhesives mounting squares. This was a new product for me, but they were really fun and easy to apply. You peel the little backing paper off, you press it down, and then you peel the backing away. And it's just as simple as that. This adhesive is also repositionable initially. So you, if you can't decide on your right placement, you have plenty of time to pick up the adhesive and move it again. So you have a space for a recipe title and a space for a recipe. You can see some of the other patterns that I was able to create with the stamp set and pigment ink. And there you go, you have a cute little recipe book with an accompanying oven mitt, a budget-friendly holiday gift idea. Thanks so much for joining me.